As I walk through the Silicon Valley of tech, I take a look at my life and realize there's so much left. I've been working at the same place so long that even my mama thinks that I like my job. But I never wanted this and I don't deserve it. Retired before 70, here that's unheard of. Today while I was walking, I did some crypto shopping. I bought some XRP, cause that's the only option, at least for me. Cause the SEC, it's going to the moon, maybe even Mercury. Cause I'm the kinda hot that Mr. Sailor wants to be like on my phone late at night, watching my crypto multiply. Why are we so blind to see that the thing we need is cryptocurrency? Been spending most our lives living just a bit too centralized. Inflation amplified, working overtime just to survive. Been spending most our lives counting minutes until the clock ticks 5. It's time to change our lives, financial freedom and decentralized. Been spending most our lives living in a crypto paradise. Ha! Welcome back to another episode of TAwithMMK. My name is McKay. Today we're going to jump into the Bitcoin price, the SPX, a little bit of where I think that's going, and then we're going to focus on two projects that I think have some good upside if and when Bitcoin decides to make its next move to the upside. If you're liking the content, please remember to like and subscribe, and let's go. Okie dokie, so to start out, this is the SPX, or the S&P 500. We're on the 4-hour chart, and we discussed at the end of last week that we had this rising channel that had a 68% chance of breaking to the downside, and it did. The measured move for that was the bottom of this green box that I have as support. It actually bounced midway through the box and has pushed its way back up. Now this red zone up here was the zone that it peeked its head above, but then lost. You could potentially end up calling this a bull trap on the SPX. At any rate, right now it's at that resistance on the underside again, and if it isn't able to break back up through, well then that would be considered a bearish retest and you can expect more downside, right? And just to kind of quickly show you what that could look like, potentially we'll pull out our little trend lines. It could just end up forming kind of like a little falling wedge, you know, something like this. And maybe it just bounces back down to the bottom of this and then back up, and then eventually it's going to bounce at some point. We just don't know if it'll be at, you know, the 382 fib level. Now that's just from the swing, this last swing low to swing high, right? I pulled the fibs. The golden pocket, so if we get a bigger retrace, the golden pocket is down here. This would represent probably the best, most logical area for it to bounce, but there's a good chance it could bounce sooner. But what we'll be looking for is if this isn't able to push back above this red and flip it as support and push higher, we'll be looking for it to trend back down here and potentially start forming this falling wedge. So that's what we'll keep an eye on in the coming day or two. And now we're over on the Bitcoin 1-hour chart just to get some ideas based on what the SPX is doing and what it may do, what Bitcoin may do. So Bitcoin was in this falling wedge on the 1 hour, right? It did have this little bear trap where it broke to the downside but was able to regain. And then recently it peeked its head above and had what we might want to call, or could call, a bull trap, right? But essentially it had this little rising wedge it was that it was following. You know, 1, 2, 3 touches on the top, 1, 2, you know, several touches along the bottom. But then it broke to the downside and started trending down. And if we clear the chart back up real quick, get rid of all these little lines I just made, what I'm watching for right now is if you still just kind of extend these lines of this original falling wedge, right? It just bounced recently on the bottom. So what we're looking for now is, from the bullish side, is can it push back up and break above and reclaim the top trend line? That would be very bullish. Otherwise, what we're looking for is there is this potential double top where price action basically got rejected at the same area 2 different times around 47,000, you know, between 47 and 47.3. And what would confirm this as a double top, this is the neckline right here, right, would be what it's doing right now. So if this isn't able to push back over about 45,800, reclaim it as support. If this starts to push down now, just to clear this up one more time and kind of show you what I'm talking about, that would verify or confirm that this, so if you look at the double top, you have 1 top, right, 2 tops, down here is the neckline of that. I'll link a video in the description I just made recently, actually, that explains double tops and double bottoms and how to trade them and whatnot. But basically what will confirm this is this breakdown, bearish retest, which is doing right now, and then you know you're going to get at least another, push lower. So we'll be keeping an eye on that. Now, before moving on, I also wanted to quickly mention, actually, that I pulled the fib from this low right here, right, up to this recent high. And the golden pocket for that is where it's basically bouncing now. One idea I had also from a bullish point, if this isn't going to break down further and come down here, back down into the 44, 45K range, or even 43, would be that we get some sort of maybe a double bottom here at the golden pocket, which is the 0.618 to the 0.65, right? So we've got bounce number one. Now let's just say this gets rejected and comes back down here, but bounces again. For the bullish side, you could then say, okay, now we have this neckline, one bottom, two bottom. If it's able to then break above, reclaim as support, at that point we could expect it to go from 45,800 at least back up to like 46,003, and we just take it level by level. But at that point, we would hope that it could break back above, like I said before, above this trend line, retest as support, and push higher. Okay, and the first coin that I want to talk about today, or project, is XCUR, which the ticker is XCUR. I spoke about this one the other day, but I'm just very bullish on it. It has a lot of marketing stuff coming up, and so we're going to talk about that briefly, and then I'll show you the chart. So basically what XCUR is, it's gasless minting of NFTs. It's an app you can get. Let's say you had an art, something that you've created that you would like to put on the blockchain and be able to sell. Basically, you could use this app, which is Curate, to mint or, put it on the blockchain. That way it's there available for someone else to purchase, and you could make money that way, right? And it doesn't cost you anything. Typically, if you're using Ethereum apps and stuff, it costs a lot of money. The nice thing about this is that it's completely free, right? And then it also, if you look over here on CoinMarketCal, they got a whole page of news upcoming. So there's going to be the news catalyst that should help drive the price up as long as Bitcoin is, somewhat steady, or especially if it's trending up, this thing could have some tremendous upside. It's got, news at the end of June. It's got this metaverse gaming test nets. It's got, some NFT stuff coming up. It's got the Launchpad application at the end of June. If you just look down through here, it's got a whole page of upcoming news, right? So that in itself should be enough to have a lot of people's attention on XCUR. As you can see on this page, it also has a lot of big partnerships with Solana, Polkadot, Avalanche, Algorand, and Polygon, which is Matic, Chainlink, and so on. So it's got a lot of big names that are behind or partnered with this project, so that's also bullish. And so then that brings us to its chart. Now this is the daily chart for XCUR. I also put here on the chart, if we zoom in real quick, they have a big announcement coming tomorrow, so I'm kind of curious what that is. Probably some partnership. With Bitcoin being a little bit dicey today, I don't know that this news will necessarily cause too big of a pump this time around, but it is still something to keep an eye on. Especially if it is some, bigger project that it teams up with, or, we'll just have to wait and see what that news is. But just looking at its chart, obviously back here on the daily, it had its huge double bottom at around 80 cents, between 75 and 80 cents. That would have obviously been the best spot to purchase it. But now it's just kind of been in this falling wedge, which right now it's at the top, which is resistance, right? What I'm looking for if Bitcoin pulls back is to get in around this $1.50 range. That's where I put my first 15% in. Not financial advice, you don't have to copy me, but we're going to track this over the next week or two, because XCUR is a project I'm going to go pretty big on. So I'm going to kind of in real time each day kind of keep you posted on how this trade's going. But the first place that I would find to be the best value would be if this retraces back to about the $1.50 range, and I would load up quite a bit more if it comes back down here anywhere near $1. Anything around $1, I'm gonna go pretty big on. But my first spot I'm looking for is about the $1.50 range. Otherwise, if it happens to, if Bitcoin flips bullish all of a sudden, then I'm looking for this to break out and retest and flip $2 as support. And if it's able to do that, then that's also where I would look to get in. And so we'll just keep you kind of posted on XCUR, but it's a bullish project that I definitely have on my radar. All right, and the last coin I wanted to go over today is RSR, or Reserve Rights Token. This is the daily chart. Now this one's entirely based off the news. It has this mainnet launch coming at the end of the month. Hoping that it could pull something similar to what Rune did. Rune had its mainnet launch last month, and it had a pretty crazy run up on the way up to that. And so similar to that, it's been in this long downtrend, right? In somewhat of a falling wedge, if you want to say it's that, and it's broken out. And now what we're looking for is entry ideas, right? So where I would first like to DCA in 15% would be the pullback to this support level at around 17 cents. So if we can get that, that would be the 15% area. If we do get a deeper retrace of some sort back down here to like the point of control on the daily, anything around 14 to 15 cents to me would also represent a good spot. That's where I would go 35%. Because basically what we're looking for is to create this big inverse head and shoulders, right? And then if you don't get either of those entry options, then option number 3, or where I would put my 15, either my last 15% or I guess my beginning 15% would be the break, retest, and flip of around 20 cents. We'll actually say more like 21 cents just to be safe, maybe even 22 cents. If you can get a break above and 22 flips as support, you can also see over here there's very little VPR resistance. So you should be able to get a pretty decent little run from about 22 cents up to at least, the 30-cent range. And then if Bitcoin cooperates, this can be a good midterm hold to then just kind of hold until, 3 or 4 days before the mainnet launch. So we'll keep an eye on RSR. Keep in mind that you can join me on Twitter, and I'll keep you guys updated on if and when I enter these trades, what percentages. You don't necessarily have to follow me, but if you just kind of want to see how it's going so that maybe in the future you could consider following some of my trades, then follow me on Twitter. I also have a TikTok page where I put my funny intros on every day, so if you want to follow me on that as well, that'd be a tremendous help to growing that. And if you're liking the content on here, please remember to like and subscribe, and we'll catch you guys tomorrow. It's TA with